Have you ever noticed that the biggest breakthroughs in business often come from the most unexpected places? That's exactly how this story begins. A few months ago, my wife and I were sitting at home talking about how our dropshipping business had started to slow down. Sales weren't terrible, but something felt off. The market was changing, competition was getting tighter, and honestly, we were just tired. We knew we needed to expand, to find something new. But between managing operations, suppliers, and daily responsibilities, we barely had the time to even think about starting another business. Then, one normal afternoon, something random happened. A man came to rent a suit from my wife's small gown and suit rental business. Nothing unusual, just another customer. But during their conversation, this man mentioned a business opportunity. He talked about systems, leverage, and partnerships. My wife listened, and for some reason, this one conversation felt different. It wasn't forced, it wasn't sales talk, it just made sense. That one meeting led to another. And before we knew it, we were sitting across a billionaire. We didn't go there expecting mentorship. We didn't go there looking for a partnership. Honestly, we just went out of curiosity. But that meeting changed the trajectory of how I see business. Because for the first time, I saw what real leverage looks like. I saw what it means to be part of a system that works even when you're not working. That billionaire wasn't just successful, he was structured. He had built a system that made growth predictable, not accidental. And the moment we partnered with him, I realized something that most small entrepreneurs never get to experience: the power of partnership. See, most people think business success is about working harder, but it's not. It's about working connected. It's about aligning with the right people, the right systems, and the right mindset that multiplies your effort instead of draining it. I used to think, I can do everything myself. That's what most entrepreneurs believe when they start. We're proud, we're driven, we're independent. But what I learned from that partnership changed my mindset completely. Because independence without leverage will always lead to exhaustion. When you have a partner who already has a system, you no longer have to start from scratch. You can focus on building value while the system handles the structure. That's what true partnership is. It's collaboration with purpose. It's connection with momentum. That's why in this video, I want to share with you the 5 core principles I've learned about partnership that completely changed how I run my business, and honestly, how I see life. These are not theories. They are lessons paid for with time, effort, and experience. The first principle is leverage. How partnership allows you to multiply your results without multiplying your stress. The second is scalability. Why working with others lets your business grow beyond your capacity. The third is unlimited potential. How systems built on partnership break the limits of what you think is possible. And the last 2, shared strength and accountability, are what make all of this sustainable, so your success doesn't collapse when things get hard. But before we dive into each one, I want you to remember this truth. You can go fast alone, but you can only go far together. That's not just a business principle, it's a life law. Because in my story, I didn't just find a business partner. I found a vision partner. Someone whose system multiplied what I already had, and whose wisdom helped me see what I didn't. And if there's one thing I've learned since that day, it's this. The right partnership doesn't just change your income, it changes your awareness. It opens your eyes to what's been possible all along. So let's break this down together. Let's talk about the real power of partnership, and why the right one might just be the missing piece in your next big breakthrough. Leverage. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot in business, but very few truly understand what it means until they experience it firsthand. For me, I didn't learn leverage from a book, a seminar, or some motivational quote on social media. I learned it the day I sat in that billionaire's office and saw how his system worked. Not through effort, but through structure. Leverage isn't about working harder. It's about multiplying your outcome without multiplying your effort. It's the difference between pushing a car uphill with your bare hands and using a well-built engine to drive it forward. The force may look the same, but the result is miles apart. Before that partnership, my mindset was simple. If I wanted to grow, I had to work more hours, take more responsibility, and grind harder than everyone else. That's how most small entrepreneurs think, that success is a matter of personal effort. But leverage completely flips that idea. It says, what if growth wasn't about how much you can do, but how much can be done through you? When we partnered with that billionaire, I realized that systems are the real workers. A business that relies only on your effort is a job disguised as entrepreneurship. But a business built on leverage, with systems, partners, and networks, has the power to grow without your constant presence. Imagine this: two people lifting a heavy stone. Alone, it's impossible. But when they use a lever, a simple piece of wood positioned correctly, the same task becomes effortless. The secret isn't in strength, it's in design. That's how partnership works. Your partner becomes the lever that helps you lift what you couldn't carry alone. The billionaire told us stories about people who started small, those who understood the power of connection, who didn't just sell products, but built systems. They didn't try to be the hero, they built teams that made everyone win. That's leverage. It's shared strength channeled toward a unified purpose. And here's the beauty of it. Leverage doesn't take away your effort, it multiplies its effect. While you're out selling, your partner's system could be automating fulfillment. While you're building relationships, their network could be opening doors you'd never access alone. The moment I experienced that, I realized something. For years, I was stuck in a cycle of doing everything myself: marketing, sales, logistics, even accounting. I wasn't a business owner, I was an employee of my own creation. Partnership changed that. Suddenly, I wasn't the only engine pulling the weight. The system worked with me, not against me. In business, there are only two ways to grow: add more time or add more leverage. Time is limited, leverage is infinite. And it's not just about people, it's about tools, technology, and wisdom. When you connect with someone who has already built a structure, you gain instant acceleration. Let's be honest, every successful person you see has leverage behind them. No one builds something great completely alone. Even the most talented entrepreneurs have teams, investors, systems, and mentors guiding them. The difference between struggling and scaling is not skill, it's leverage. Think about it this way. Your effort is a single candle. Bright, yes, but it only lights up a small room. Partnership is like wiring that candle to an entire power grid. Suddenly, you're not just lighting a room, you're illuminating a city. That's what happens when you connect your strength to something bigger than yourself. It reminds me of the principle in the Bible. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If one falls, the other can help them up. That's leverage in spiritual form, the multiplication of strength through connection. Partnership allows your results to keep moving even when you're resting. It creates a ripple effect. While you focus on one task, the system keeps running, your network keeps expanding, and your results keep compounding. You begin to realize that success isn't about how much you can personally do in a day, but about what your structure continues to do without you. And here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Leverage doesn't mean you're lazy. It means you're wise enough to position yourself where effort has the most impact. The billionaire we partnered with wasn't working 20 hours a day, but his results outperformed thousands who did. Why? Because his system multiplied every move he made. So when I talk about leverage, I'm not just talking about business mechanics. I'm talking about awareness. The awareness that you don't have to carry the whole mountain alone. You just need to find the lever strong enough to move it. That's what partnership gives you. A shared engine for success, a system that turns effort into expansion, and a network that keeps growing even when you're not watching. And once you taste that kind of leverage, you'll never go back to doing business the old way again. Scalability. This is where partnership stops being helpful and starts becoming powerful. If leverage is the ability to do more with less, scalability is the ability to grow without limit. And this is something I never understood until I partnered with someone whose system was already built for expansion. For years, I believed growth was supposed to be slow and painful. One customer at a time, one sale at a time, one tiny improvement at a time. That's the mindset of a person operating alone. Growth becomes linear. You work more, you earn more, slightly. You push harder, you gain a little. But no matter how driven you are, there's always a ceiling. The ceiling of your time, your energy, your personal capacity. But partnership removes that ceiling. It turns your effort into momentum. It turns your momentum into multiplication, and that multiplication becomes exponential. Because suddenly, your business doesn't rely on one source of action. You. There are multiple forces moving with you. The system, the team, the network, the leadership, the shared vision. Each one of those becomes an engine, and engines are built to scale. When we partnered with the billionaire, I saw it for the first time. His system wasn't built to survive. It was built to expand. It didn't depend on him being present. It didn't slow down when he stepped away. In fact, it often grew faster because it empowered more people to take part in it. Most small businesses struggle because everything depends on one person. One mistake, one illness, one burnout, and the business collapses. But a scalable business doesn't stop when you stop. It continues moving forward because the structure is designed to grow with or without you. That's the difference between owning a business and being owned by a business. Partnership gives you the infrastructure to distribute growth, not just effort. It allows you to duplicate success across people, places, and platforms. Think of scalability like planting seeds. If you have only one seed, you'll only get one tree. But if you can duplicate that tree and spread the seeds, you can grow a forest. And a forest doesn't just produce fruit, it produces generations of fruit. That's scalability. Partnership also gives you access to resources you don't personally have. More time, more hands, more skills, more distribution, more influence, more knowledge. When more people carry the mission moves faster. And here's the part most people miss. Scalability isn't about multiplying products. It's about multiplying people who believe in the vision. When people align and move in the same direction, expansion becomes natural. Growth becomes the default setting of the system. That's why scalability is not built on effort. It's built on structure. And when that structure is powered by partnership, everything accelerates. When I saw this, I asked myself, how long would it take me alone to reach this level of growth? Maybe 10 years, maybe 20, maybe never. But through partnership, it was happening right in front of me, faster than I could have imagined. And that's when it hit me. Success isn't slow when the system is right. Scalability is what turns a small dream into a national impact and eventually into a global one. It's what transforms a single shop, a chain, a single product, a brand, a single effort, a movement. Scalability is what helps you build something bigger than yourself, something that lasts, something that multiplies, something that matters. And the moment you experience that kind of growth, you'll look back and realize you were never lacking potential. You were just lacking partnership. Because alone, your growth is limited to your capacity. But together, there is no limit. The third principle is unlimited earning potential. This is where everything changes. Because once leverage is in place and scalability begins to move, income is no longer limited by your personal capacity. You stop trading hours for money. You stop depending on linear effort. You stop thinking in terms of enough. Instead, your earnings become tied to a system that grows, whether you show up today or not. Just think about that for a second. Most people wake up every day stressed. What if I get sick? What if I lose my job? What if I can't work tomorrow? Because deep down, they know their income has a weak foundation. It depends on them showing up every single day. But in a scalable partnership, the foundation is different. The structure makes the money work. The network drives the growth. The system fuels the income. And that is the moment when business becomes abundant, not just profitable. Because profit is survival, but abundance is overflow. Overflow means you earn not just from what you do, but also from what others do with you and what the system continues to do for you. That's what partnership unlocked for me. Before, when we were only doing drop shipping, we were stuck in the earn when active cycle. Work stops, income stops. We knew that if we ever took a break, our business would take a break too. But now, I can step away, spend time with my family, focus on new ideas, celebrate life, and business continues to move. Not because I'm magical or special, but because I'm plugged into a system that moves with or without me. Let me put it this way. If you rely only on your effort, your income has a limit. If you rely on a system, your income has no ceiling. That's the difference between self-employment versus entrepreneurship. Self-employed, I must keep working. Entrepreneur, it keeps working. One is survival. The other is success. And here's a truth that took me years to realize. Unlimited income doesn't come from working harder. It comes from working multiplied. Because the moment your business stops depending on your hands and starts moving through many hands, the potential becomes infinite. That's why billionaires are different. Not because they're smarter, not because they're luckier, but because they built systems, partnerships, and leverage that expand their earning power endlessly. And suddenly I understood what that billionaire meant when he said, "If a 14-year-old can make money, how much more you?" The limitation was never the opportunity. The limitation was my own awareness. Once my awareness upgraded, my income followed. And now I want you to imagine something. What if your income was no longer tied to your time? What if you could create wealth even while resting? What if growth became automatic, not accidental? That's what partnership makes possible. That's what scalable systems unlock. That's what we stepped into the day we said yes to that new opportunity. The third principle is unlimited potential. Not because you are unlimited alone, but because together the limits disappear. Before partnership, we were dreaming small because we were working small. After partnership, the dream expanded because the capacity expanded. And trust me, when you finally taste that kind of freedom, you will never want to go back to a life where money depends on your hours again. Because true business success is not about earning more, it's about earning without limits. The fourth principle is shared strength and wisdom. And this one is so powerful that it can save you years, maybe even decades of struggle. Because when you partner with someone who has already achieved the results you want, you don't need to guess anymore. You don't need to trial and error everything. You don't need to spend sleepless nights trying to figure out what works. They already walked the journey. They already paid the price. They already failed, so you don't have to. And that's not just a shortcut, it's a blessing. See, before this partnership, we were doing business in isolation. We were relying only on what we knew, and what we knew was limited. We thought being independent was strength. But actually, sometimes independence becomes ignorance. Pride says, "I can do it alone." Wisdom says, "Let me learn from someone who has done it well." When that billionaire spoke to us, every sentence felt like a key, unlocking rooms in my mind that I never knew existed. Suddenly, strategies I didn't know made sense. Opportunities I couldn't see became visible. Problems I used to worry about became easy. Why? Because shared wisdom collapses time. What would take you 10 years to learn on your own can take 10 minutes with the right mentor. That's the beauty of shared strength. And it's not just about knowledge. It's also about courage. Sometimes you don't need advice. You just need reassurance. Someone who says, "Yes, you can. Yes, this is possible. Yes, you're on the right path." That kind of belief is contagious. It's as if someone lends you their confidence until you develop your own. Partnership also gives you emotional strength, because business isn't easy. There are days when the numbers don't make sense, days when customers complain, days when doubt screams louder than your dreams. On those days, having someone with proven results beside you changes everything, because now you're not just guessing, you're guided. And spiritually, this principle is everywhere in the Bible. Look at Moses and Joshua, Elijah and Elisha, Paul and Timothy. Every great leader was first a great learner. Every strong general was once a loyal soldier. Every king first had a mentor. Partnership is a God-designed structure. He never intended success to be a solo mission. That's why he places people in our path. People who stretch us. People who sharpen us. People who believe in us before we fully believe in ourselves. And sometimes, God doesn't bless you with money first. He blesses you with a person, a partner, a mentor, a guide. Because he knows one right partnership can bring everything money can't. When you share strength, you multiply strength. When you share wisdom, you accelerate destiny. And if you're trying to do business alone right now, please listen carefully. You are not weak for asking help. You are wise. You are investing in growth. You are collapsing time. Because success is not just what you build, it's who you build it with. Shared strength creates stability. Shared wisdom creates clarity, and together, they create unstoppable momentum. That's why the fourth principle matters so much. It protects you from the mistakes you don't see, and pulls you forward into the future you're meant to reach. The fifth principle is faith and accountability. And honestly, this is the one that separates temporary success from sustainable success. Because leverage can push you forward. Scalability can increase your reach. Unlimited potential can expand your vision. Shared strength can sharpen your strategies. But faith and accountability? That's what keeps you going when everything gets hard. Here's the truth about entrepreneurship. There will always be days when you want to quit. Days when the numbers scare you. Days when your mind whispers, maybe this isn't for you. Days when the pressure feels heavier than the purpose. And in those moments, having someone beside you, not behind you, not in front of you, but beside you, makes all the difference. When one of you feels tired, the other says, rest, but don't stop. When one hesitates, the other says, we've come this far, we're not turning back now. Accountability isn't someone checking on you. It's someone believing with you. It's not about control, it's about commitment. And when two people share the same mission, your fire spreads to each other. One flame can be blown out, but two flames together, they protect each other from the wind. That's faith in action. Even from a biblical viewpoint, God designed partnership as protection and multiplication. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. This isn't just poetry, it's strategy from heaven, because the enemy of purpose loves isolation. When you're alone, doubt has a louder voice, fear becomes bigger, confusion becomes stronger. But when you are surrounded by people with faith and alignment, you become spiritually unshakable and mentally unstoppable. Partnership brings accountability. Someone who reminds you who you are when you start forgetting. Someone who reminds you why you started when emotions get louder than vision. Someone who reminds you what God promised when circumstances look impossible. Someone who says, hey, we agreed on this dream, we prayed for this, we believed for this, we don't quit now. That's why faith-filled partnership is dangerous. Dangerous to fear, dangerous to failure, dangerous to mediocrity. Because now, you are no longer powered by just your own confidence. You are powered by combined belief. And combined belief creates supernatural results. Let me tell you one thing I'm learning over and over again. God doesn't give you a partner so you can depend on them. He gives you a partner so both of you can depend on him, together. Because when you have someone to walk with, you survive storms you would have drowned in alone. You endure process you would have escaped. You reach victories you were never designed to reach alone. Faith is a weapon, accountability is a shield, and partnership, the right kind, gives you both. Which is why this fifth principle completes the foundation. It ensures that everything you build will stand, even when life tries to shake it. So if you feel like you've been doing everything alone, maybe that's the reason you're tired. Not because you're weak, but because you were never meant to carry that dream on your own. And perhaps, just like in my story, your breakthrough is not a new product, not a new strategy, but a new person. A partner who sharpens your purpose, protects your focus, and believes in your calling. Because where two walk together, purpose multiplies, strength multiplies, faith multiplies, success multiplies. This is the power of partnership. You know, I used to believe that the strongest entrepreneurs were the ones who could do everything by themselves. Like independence was the highest form of success. But I learned something in this journey. You don't grow faster by doing everything alone. You grow faster when you find people who multiply what you already have. One person with a dream can start something, but two people with the same dream, they can build something that lasts. That partnership didn't just grow our business. It grew our vision. It showed me a world beyond limitations. A world where we don't rise through pressure alone, but through alignment, unity, and God-assigned connection. My breakthrough didn't come from a new product. It didn't come from selling harder or hustling more. It came from connecting with someone who already had the pieces I was missing. A system, a strategy, a structure, a belief bigger than mine at the time. And maybe, just maybe, your next big breakthrough isn't a new skill. It isn't another business model. It isn't the perfect timing. It's a person, a partner, someone who activates the next level of your calling. Because purpose is rarely a solo mission. God designed destiny to be a shared journey. So here's the question I want you to think about right now. Who is waiting to partner with your purpose? Not to control you, not to compete with you, but to complete what God started in you. Look around, pray about it, be bold enough to connect, be humble enough to collaborate, because the right partnership doesn't just increase your income, it multiplies your impact. And maybe just like what happened to us, you'll look back one day and say, I wasn't just building a business, God was building a team.